Hello, and welcome to the Argyle CFO Leadership Forum. My name is Nick with Argyle, and it's great to have everyone joining us today. A couple of notes before I turn things over to our panel moderator. To ask questions throughout the session, simply type into the Q&A chat, and we will address your questions at the end of the session. Now, without further delay, I would like to introduce our moderator, Matt Pileski, Regional Chief Financial Officer, Arthur J. Gallagher. We're super excited to have Matt and our panelists for a panel discussion titled 2024 Finance Transformation. Welcome, Matt. Over to you.
Well, hello, everybody. I'm Matt Pileski. Happy to be here today. As he said, I'm the Regional Northeast Finance Officer for Arthur Gallagher. We grow a lot by acquisition, so I do a lot of the M&A planning, and a lot of it comes down to getting the right people in the right roles with the right incentives. And we're here to talk today about a topic I'm really excited about, which is finance transformation. You know, I've been in the workforce, approaching like 30 years now, and I think the trick to surviving is really being able to reinvent yourself because business keeps evolving. So I'm really excited to introduce our panelists today and talk about what changes and what evolutions we might have in store for 2024. So with that, I'll kind of go around and introduce our panelists. Let's start with Ashley. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Ashley Taylor. I'm with Mouser Electronics. I'm the VP of Finance with Mouser. We are a global distributor of semiconductors and components.
Okay. Francisco?
Thank you. Thank you, Matt. So my name is Francisco Gutierrez. I work for a Mexican company. The name is Metalsa. Metalsa is a supplier for auto parts. We have a location in Mexico, US, Argentina, South America, and Asia. And then I'm the lead. I am the lead for the Metalsa finance transformation. I have been working in finance area since 30 years. And since a couple of years that Metalsa launched the project, I am leading the finance transformation. Happy to be here with you guys. Thank you.
The other Matt?
All right, thank you. My name is Matt McFadden. I work for a national construction company called Congruex. We do mostly telecom, construction, and engineering. Prior to that, I've over 15 years of experience spanning food manufacturing, banking, and data center power and thermal manufacturing as well. So I've spent a lot of time in finance and transformation activities and ad hoc activities, and happy to be here today.
Okay. And last but not least, Daraj?
Hi, I'm Dheeraj Charian. I'm a consulting CFO for many startups, mid-sized companies in multiple sectors, automotive, energy, technology. I used to be a CFO for Westinghouse and Ferrellgas, but I spend more time on teaching other companies to improve their side of the business, and this is a great topic to be on.
Okay. So with that, we'll kind of start with round robin, just going around. If each one of you could say, like, what do you see in store for finance transformation in 2024? What are the things that you're really looking to drive? And let's start with Ashley.
Well, we continually are looking for things that we've moved farther and farther away from being a transaction-based function. Finance used to be posting the payments and paying the suppliers, and it still is about that, but more and more we move to exception-based processing. And we do that by automating those transactional day-to-day items. And I think we will just continue to see that growth. The introduction of AI or the further use of AI will move more and more of those tasks as much as possible to automation.
Okay, so that's interesting. You're looking at analyzing your outliers and exceptions a little bit more. We'll pass it over to Francisco.
Thank you, Matt. So we are in the process to move to the cloud. This is the main project that we have right now. And as soon as we are moving to the cloud, before that, make and process mapping. But we change a little bit the focus for that. So we make the process mapping considered from end to end, not only the finance transaction per se. And as long as that we make that, so we consider that we need to make an integral change in the organization. That is the reason that we are also parallel with the process to implement to move to the cloud. We are changing the skills for the people and changing the organization in order to be sure that we align the organization, the people, the skills, and the tools for that. And on the top of this move to the cloud, we are including emerging technologies that help us to make the transaction in an easy way, OTC, a lot of RPIs in order to reduce the risk of manual errors and also reduce the turnover that we are facing in the people.
Okay. So moving to the cloud and transferring that into your people, great answer. So Matt, what would you like to add?
Certainly. What I see is a bit of maybe classical transformation or classic transformation, which is kind of taking disparate ERP systems and merging them into one systemic or one consistent process, migrating some of the work first to a shared services function to centralize across the company, and then furthering that through the power of something like an AI or Power BI. And then finally, I see sort of a more and more a movement towards finance helping to integrate financial and operational data into one house. In my experience, I've seen operation systems do very good at operations data and finance systems do great at financial data, but they don't play well together. So it's putting finance in the middle to kind of bring those two systems together and help kind of complete the picture is another area I think I see finance playing a role.
Oh, so you see like a lot of integration work where we're taking the systems, integrating them together, and then being able to draw better conclusions. Sounds like so we consolidate. Okay, Diraj.
I think my colleagues here have touched on most of the salient points, but I think the continuous retraining of staff, the clients I work with, they know what they know, but there are always things happening. Some of my companies do a lot of M&As, and sometimes it's not a matter of bringing those new acquired companies into the fold, but learning and maybe moving on to their systems or their capabilities. That's part of why we acquire them, not purely for the market share. So understanding all of that, bringing it together. Matt mentioned something about working with operations, and that's key. In some of the technology companies that I work with, and even in the past with Panasonic, we really had a lot of technology happening. And a big part of it is the R&D, the development, and then it's the manufacturing. So you're not spending much time in corporate finance as such. You're understanding an engineering individuals or an engineer's mindset, helping them, fund and use their budgets wisely, which means really not a matter of saying you get so much to spend, but understanding what are they going to spend it on. So there's that continuous retraining that's happening, keep people fresh and excited rather than being anxious.
Well, I like that a lot because it's more kind of like, how do you build on what other people have been saying here, get the data right, get the integration, but then the business partnering and the growth of our people, making it so like, hey, we're growing as an organization. Really like that answer. So with that, I think one of the things I've learned in my career too is that like everybody always wants things to be better. Everything wants it to happen easily. But nothing happens unless somebody makes it happen, and there's always challenges along the way. So what do you see, and we're going to start with Ashley, what are the biggest challenges you're facing in terms of, you had brought up like, looking at the outliers, finding the exceptions. What are your obstacles in accomplishing really where you want to get to?
It's two key things. It's resources, both budget dollars and people, and buy-in from your existing staff. Josh spoke to this earlier. There's sometimes a feeling of anxiousness amongst the team when you start talking about streamlining or automating. I think a lot of people hear that as elimination. So they start to become anxious about, well, if this task becomes automated, then what will I do? And what about my job? And what am I doing? And we have found it to be most successful. You just are transparent as possible with people and answer questions. They're the subject matter expert on what you're looking to automate anyway.
So do you feel like you're getting the buy-in from your staff? Do they understand the vision where you're trying to go?
Yes, we have. But it is largely because we put a lot of effort into laying the groundwork of answering the questions and talking with them and making them part of the automation process, not just gathering the information and then moving on and having it a very segmented process.
Okay. Francisco, what do you see as the roadblocks towards achieving your goals this year?
Well, I think the main there are several for that. For I think the main is regarding the people skills. I can summarize that there is a lack of talent in the environment for that, and I'm not talking about the people with professional preparation. I mean the skills that the finance people need to develop is that combination to use data, analyze data, and convert this data in histories. That means that is the very important part for that. So we need to find people that are able to translate data in business recommendations. And this is a complex skill that we want to build, and it is hard to get it. And the other side, regarding that in a competitive market and the competitive industry, the expectation for the top management for quick results is also a tremendous pressure that we need to deal with. So those best kind of projects used to be costly, and is used to be for a long time project. I mean, do not expect immediate results. And the expectation for immediate results is always in the environment challenge, the roadmap or the time frame that we use to prepare for that. That is the main. But if you ask me what is the biggest one, I mean, it's people skills and willingness to change. I think the big one.
So I really like that answer because one, it's like, look, the people first they have to see that the change is necessary, then they have to be willing to change, and then finally, like, is there stuff that you like the organization can do? Those people that are willing and want to do it, but maybe you're missing some of the skills. Are there things you can do to help those people grow, or like how have you approached kind of skill enhancement of your own team?
The first step we made something that we are calling internally the fit gap analysis, in which we want to identify what gaps regarding the people skills we need to fill, and that is the first step. We are accompanying these people in a training process in order to develop those skills, but it's hard to move that because my learning in this journey that these skills sometimes is something that is within the people, and with the training you enhance that skills, but it's not something that you can put in the people the analytic skill or something like that. So and I think is also a matter of people move to another position if it's needed. So it's hard to that. And we need to deal in parallel with this change of people with the technical issues to move to the cloud. I mean, we need to deal with both the people and the technical issues for that. So it's not easy way.
Yeah, again, it's all in integrating the systems with the people. It just seems to be a recurring theme. So Matt, I mean, you're looking kind of too to do more integration and business partnering. What do you see as the big roadblocks?
Yeah, well, I think we've already hit the two big ones. One is system limitations, and back to a couple of comments Ashley made regarding budgets. You kind of get what you pay for and what you're willing to invest in systemically So getting the systems to be able to produce the data that you want them to produce in the structure that you want them to be structured in is always a big challenge. And then, as both Ashley and Francisco mentioned already, it's the buy-in, both bottoms-up buy-in from people who are used to doing things their way or a way, but also from the top down. And that's creating clarity on the vision of how this change and how this automation is going to further the company. If you're not clear from the top down that the automation is here to make people's lives easier, to free you up and get you away from the mundane tasks, especially, and into more analytical work, then people will fall into, as Ashley mentioned, that fear of automation equals elimination instead of automation equals freeing me up to do other, better, more value-added work.
So I like that, like bringing in the clarity of the people, what you're trying to accomplish. Do you find you're able to kind of use story to help bring clarity, or what's the best way to kind of get people to buy in and really understand, here's what we're trying to accomplish?
I think when you can show them, and story is a little bit of it's a good starting point to say, if you can show people that what we're trying to remove from your workday is sort of something that's not necessarily furthering the company. It helps the company because it needs to be done, but it doesn't help the company get better. It helps the company maintain. And what we want these individuals to do is to help move the company forward. So this is really an opportunity to get them into a new skill set or furthering a skill set of analytical work and figuring out not just that how to get the data in and out of a system, but how to actually interpret the data, and to your point of story, how to turn that into a meaningful story to other people in the company, especially non-finance people who don't speak numbers all day long.
No, I love that, because then what you're really getting towards, like, how do we innovate and how do we use financial data to help us drive innovation that really gives us competitive advantage against other, really dives into the strategy.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Okay. And then Diraj, what are your challenges this year?
Yeah, I think it's as Matt touched as well, and so did Ashley and Francisco. It's removing the jitters from people, right? I mean, transformations, we've all done transformations, but the thing is the plurality of it. You may have 10 of them running at the same time, and you have maybe a number of star performers who can lead them or who are capable of doing that work. You may have a small or big finance team, but those who can really do the work or are required to do the work are a few. But they're also the ones who do your closing, your audits, your presentation on analysis, and everything else. So how do we give them time off from their daily work and have them focused, and I mean 100% on this, so that it can move forward and get it done? And that requires, I work with my peers to have them reduce their daily requests to a minimum, ask them to contribute their teams to work together with finance to be able to do a lot of this as well. And that's critical. What was also mentioned earlier is people who feel uncomfortable as to what happens to my job. It depends on where you are in the scale of transformation. If you are just starting out, there's a lot of manual process, and people hate it. They think they're overworked, but they know that they have something to do. When they free it up, it's a lot of white space for them, and they don't know, is it okay to leave it white? Or do I need to fill it up so it looks like I am somebody in the organization, right? And it's not okay to say you'll be fine. Working with, I've done it. It's working with HR to, as part of that stream of changes. Here's your new role. Once this is done, here's your new role. Here's what you're doing, and here's that career opportunity that goes with it. Here's the training for it, right? And we probably will talk about that more, but really reducing the levels of uncertainty, but also getting peer support at the management level. And I mean really in there versus saying that, hey, I'll have my chief engineer or my manufacturing leader work with your team member to do this. Oh, but sorry, he has to work on something urgent that came up and he's the only one who knows because we have to deliver to the customer, right? That's quite a rub because nobody wants to increase headcount just for a project. And given often when you do too many at the same time, usually 9 out of 10 get cut off somewhere along the way and it never completes. So you got to also show that I'm willing to complete this because anyone who participates in it is putting their entire career on the line. Even if you show them, hey, you're going to be a supervisor from where you are today, but if it gets cut off, what am I? Where am I? Did I waste a lot of time and now I don't have anything to show on my performance review? All these are the smaller things that make each finance team member anxious. And then, of course, technology comes into play, and IT will say, "Hey, here's the best thing that came out, bells and whistles, right?" But maybe our customers are not geared to be able to support that, or they have their system that you can't just say that, okay, we'll just put this in and everybody will follow the tune. Now you have what you had in a hodgepodge of three legacy systems. Now you have a new system which also doesn't talk to something else and have to work with fallout. As customers say, you didn't bill me, I didn't get paid, and everything falls on your team, which says, well, you're the one who has a system. What happened, right? So these are challenges that need to be. There's no clear answer on day one, but preparing early and as much as possible and keeping people informed, both at the team level and at the peer level, is going to be very, very critical.
Yeah, and I think what I like a lot of what you're saying is like from an operations perspective, like you see processes get built up when there's bottlenecks, but we have individual team players who maybe are most comfortable when they are a bottleneck because they have all this work on their plate. Then they feel valuable because they're doing it. But the reality is they need to free themselves up, work balance some of it. And as you get more time capacity, maybe there's a fear like, oh my God, I don't have everything. It's not going through me. But that's when you really can take advantage of with that increased time. That's when you can drive innovation because now you have more capacity to take on other things. So I think it's a great answer. Kind of parlaying in where we just kind of covered the challenges. Now, like what are the new fancy technologies, tools, anything new that's going to help us accomplish our mission in 24? Any new things that you have helping you? And again, we'll start with Ashley.
Now, sir, we have a team that handles RPA, robotic process automation. And that's a somewhat new. We've had it for that team for about 2 years, and they work with the teams who do have these transactional manual tasks that are in place. So finance is a nice fit for that. And we had 4 pretty significant projects with that team last year, being able to automate processes that were needed, but to Matt McFadden's point earlier, they were helping, but they were not moving us forward, nor were they scalable. So now we apply this automation to those things, and we've been able to automate those tasks. And for us, it saved almost a full headcount in processing. So it wasn't necessarily, and that we had people who were working more hours than they needed to be working because we had all of these processes. So as far as getting buy-in for those projects, that was a pretty easy thing to do for them because that team was tired and they were ready. They were ready for some relief. So that working with that RPA team, that's been probably the newest thing that we're doing. We have quite a bit of automation in our team. As it is, we're a fairly sizable company, so a lot of our items had to be automated in order for us to be even remotely scalable. So some of that differs based on the size of your company. but RPA is the newest thing that we've been using, and we have seen a big payoff with it.
So it sounds like your team's really excited about using RPA. It's really been a great experience.
It has been very good. We went through a bit of what everyone mentioned on here before, that it was new. There was maybe some concern, even though that team was tired and ready for a break, there's still some sense of anxiousness about, well, if we're able to automate that, what else are we going to automate and how is that going to be working? But just like we all said, you have the conversations, you make it transparent, you move other tasks that are more challenging to that team, and that's worked very well.
Yeah, I have heard from some people, like when we ask them to change something, they're like, well, it gets harder when you're changing it. So then the payoff, if we actually realize it, it'll get better then, but it actually makes my life worse when we first start implementing something. Okay. Francisco, what would you like to any new tools, technologies, any new fancy toys that you guys are adapting this year?
Yes. I concur what Ali said. Also, another important things is that use some additional new tools that help us to analyze the information in another way. Let me give you a couple examples for that. So, the process to transform the information from the P&L statement, from the made the analysis and split by customer, is something that we used to do in Excel when that personal files in Excel. So we implement a specific tool in order to connect to the ERP and split the information into the standard rules, translate this in a profitability or a P&L by customer. This is one, in order that it gives you agility for that, in order to connect to the ERP and transfer the information. And also something that we call the democratize the information, in order to the information be accessible for many people. And when you are able to split the information by customer, you see the information, the financial information, with another lens. You can go with the commercial team in order to make different challenges. The other big issue, the other important challenge that we try to do is implement something that helps us to make the budget and the forecast more agile and more institutional. We are trying to take out the Excel files. Excel is very good, but it's my Excel, is not the company's Excel. The information is not so institutional for that. So the budget process is a process that used to be highly customized, and it's a big challenge in order to put all this customization in an institutional tool. That is another important process. And I explain that because those are processes that used to be very personalized, very hands-on, that demand a lot of manual process, and as those processes highly manual, are subject to make mistakes in the process, and it's hard to transfer the knowledge from one people to another one when you have this information customized and not institutionalized. And that is another important challenge in the top, or additional what Ashley said, related with emerging technologies, that for sure we need to do something for that, in order the OTC, the smart OTCs that help us to identify and be more smart to how to allocate, translate information from a paper to the information in the ERP. Those are the main challenges that we have.
Okay. Great comments. Matt, I'll turn it over to you.
Sure. My company right now is, I'll say we're in a maturing phase, technologically speaking, in a way. And so, like Francisco mentioned, prior to just a few months ago, most everything we did financially was, from a reporting standpoint, Excel-based. A lot of the accounting information was housed within a Microsoft suite, but the reporting was lived 100% in Excel, which, as Francisco mentioned, is not great for a lot of reasons. So one thing we've been implementing very rapidly is a Microsoft add-on called Vena, which, if anyone's ever used Essbase to retrieve data, is very similar. But the big transformative power of this is that when we're now moving into a systemic house for the data, which provides a lot more control, a lot more change management capability, a lot more ability for us to retain versions as we go through, so we can capture changes in the data as we go, and also memorialize points in time. So as we're wrapping up a budget process now. There was a version 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4, and how do we track all those, memorialize each one of those to track the changes throughout becomes very important. The other big piece for us, that's the financial side, is on the operational side, implementing a tool. This is in the construction industry called Site Tracker, which again is getting all those little pieces of information that will help inform the company. How many feet did we produce per day? Was it underground? All the little operational pieces of information, starting to collect that and house it systemically, so that we can take now both of these systemic houses, feed them through a data lake, and then port it back out through BIs to make everybody's life easier. Because as Francisco said, financial information usually gets housed and controlled by finance, but when you can create Power BI dashboards that anybody can access and at least see the data and marry that financial and operational information at one time in real time, it makes everybody's life easier as we go through.
Okay, no, I think that's great. I think really just putting stuff into databases so they can be queried. It's kind of funny, like it doesn't have to all be automated if you can just get it in a database, so then you can access the information, as opposed to living in Excel, how, as I'm sure we've all lived with both. So love those answers. Jiraj, your comments?
In terms of technologies, just standard stuff you have out there, just making sure people are using more of it or using it completely is important. Matt mentioned BI. We've been using BI in the past, and we continue to do that. I introduced that to new companies as well. But connecting them to libraries so we can do real-time modeling. So a lot of the FP&A work, especially since the market is actively changing for retailers, automotive, even energy. You don't use just customer data, vendor information, but you also need to know the market, dealer information, inventory out there, demographics, etc. So those are things that you don't normally take, but you get from different libraries, and you just add those in. And start to build. Initially, of course, you're going to get a lot of gaps or inaccurate results, but you build on that and you learn from that. The other thing is, of course, we've been using our systems to push control of information, not standard data types that are managed across the company, but moving control or accountability upstream. So because however good a system is, we find that, and especially more complex it is, it's really hard to determine by the time it comes to finance, because it's already pulled, and really unraveling it backwards to do an analysis is really hard. So pushing it upstream to ensure they're controlling it, they're looking at the information. So by the time it comes, it doesn't mean that I have to go or my team member has to go to a manufacturing line and look at a part that's moved from one gate to another, or what fallout there was, to determine why this number is so bad, right? Versus they know it, they've managed it, they've put the information in, so I just have to trust it. Of course, you have to build that chain of trust, knowing this is the kind of information that's coming and the quality of it, which also means finance has to understand the process all the way to upstream, but not deciphering it to get it turned around in a day, an hour, or a few minutes to make decisions.
That's a great answer here. We got about 5 minutes or so before we hit the Q&A. So kind of go around. Anything you want to comment, Ashley, on the other? Anything you want to hit with AI or budgetary restrictions? Anything you kind of want to add to the conversation?
No, I think we've covered it, at least from my perspective.
Okay. Let's see. So, Francisco, anything you'd like to add?
I just could add that this project used to be costly and long term, and the top management needs to be aware that in the process that if you start this process, it's very hard to stop it, and in the long process, you are going to have crises, the oil price going down, going up. We're going to have anything, and you need to continue. I mean, it's a process that when you start, the process until you end is very complicated, and to avoid for that is painful. That is my comments on in one of my meetings with the leadership team of the company. I said when one of the multiple crises that we used to have in the automotive industry, I said we cannot abort the process. The project already born is we need to kill it, but it's not an abortion because the process already born. So that is my message. It's a process that the top management needs to be convinced that is the process is a key project in the company beyond the situation of the company. That is my comment. So we need to be aware for that.
No, I like that. I do think too, like once you get your team to go from, oh, same as last year, here's what I do, just keep doing the whole thing, to like learning to grow, it does become addicting. And once you're yeah, once you go from first grade to second grade, you want to go to third and fourth. And I think getting that into your DNA where your team wants to grow, that's just a huge leap because once people like growing, they typically don't like to stop. Matt, any comments you want to add?
Sure. On the topic of AI, I've thought of quite a bit recently about how this will fit in with the finance. And I was talking to my best friend Joe recently about this, and he made a good point. He made a good comment about AI being a very good research assistant. So before the call, we talked to you made the comment, Matt, about the human element never really going away. But sort of what Dheeraj was saying, where if you can have AI scrape libraries of information much more broadly and quickly than humans can, you can start to really build a powerful engine to create modeling from. You'll always need the human element to sort out some of the noise and one-time impacts and prevent the garbage in, garbage out. But I do think that there's a lot of power to be unlocked from using AI to help build the foundational data sources that can drive modeling. So that's something I'm excited to start seeing play out.
Have you tried any stuff with AI? Like I've kind of like just sometimes like asking it a question when you're perplexed. It's good. It's a good brainstorming technique I found.
Yeah, I've done the same. I haven't gone too deep. I haven't tried anything remotely close to financial modeling with AI help, but I do think that there's a world of opportunity just waiting.
Okay. And then Dheeraj, what would you like to add to the conversation here?
I think what everyone's commented on, it's budget, ownership, making sure you run the full race, not drop on the side, or keeping a good control of project management. Pretty much, if you were building something, you have to stay within budget, finish by a certain time because there are expectations. But you need to make sure that you help people who are working on it because they're not, once you give the project to them and isolate them, that's not the way to go. Of course, AI, I just want to touch on AI. AI is still an engine. I'd say it's still in the phase of hallucination because AI is great. It'll try to give you an answer. Where there isn't enough information, it'll dream up something and plug those gaps. Over time, that information, populates itself, it's studied, and then you get more robust, complete, real answers. It's just like the internet. I mean, you go on there, you don't hope to trust everything that's out there unless it's from a known authority on their website, right? It's the same thing. You don't just give it to AI and say, give me an answer. And yeah, that makes it easy. It just saves you time, browsing the internet. That's pretty much what it is. End of the day, accountability still remains with people, with companies, and management. And you can't put it out to AI, say, well, AI said that, so go sue AI. It doesn't work that way. And people just need to use that, learn from it. Always, we need to just stay ahead of the game. AI will do certain things, great, but we'll do other things that are better and only we are capable of. And that's where the growth path is.
Yeah, I think the sooner we get our teams to kind of think of AI as an opportunity as opposed to a threat and really get that intellectual, because those who learn how to use it, well, they're going to become invaluable. But if you're trying to compete with AI without using it, I think that's where you might get left behind. So now I think we got about a little less than 10 minutes left. If there's any questions from those out in the audience, like feel free to post them. We have some that have come in already. So I'll start looking at some of these questions. First one, and anybody can take this. What are the most common misconceptions or challenges that organizations face when implementing finance transformation? And how do we overcome them? Maybe we already kind of took this a little bit. Does anybody want to address that one?
Well, just a short answer that I always found that finance transformation doesn't mean, oh, it's all finance. Well, no, we're working with the company's data. We're working to provide you with information, which is important for us as well as a company. So does not mean that I know you're working with some credits and debits and something else, and I don't need to know about it. Just give me what I want and don't stop anything on the way. Oh, by the way, you've always been, you worked with tight budgets. I'm sure you don't need any more just to do this transformation, right? And finance teams are small. You've done overtime and delivered, so continue to do this with no more help. No, there is a lot of ownership and participation required because this is not just for one team by one team. Because if you want to make this work and useful once the results are out there, it's a continuous marriage of everyone in the organization.
No, and I like that because we're really here to support the company and all the business partnering we do. If we make it about ourselves and finance needs this, then we shouldn't be surprised when we get pushback. Next question. Although finance is known for control, it seems many roles are being filled by professionals who do not carry a finance title. I think this is good because we get different perspectives. But, have we ever run into the situation? How do we address people trying to do finance and look, HR comes to mind, trying to do finance without really having the acumen to do it?
Sure, I'll take that. I've seen that a lot, and it's a constant battle. And I think the only way to cut through that is to really message up to really the C-suite that all financial data comes from finance. I wouldn't come to finance for marketing information. I would go to marketing for finance information. And once you build that trust, and it kind of happens over time through repetitive, always being right in a sense of delivering the right information at the right time with the right answers, to build that trust in finance so that in the end, it just kind of becomes apparent to the executive team that nope, I'm not taking numbers. I'm not taking financial numbers from anybody that isn't finance. But that's kind of that's really the only way I've seen around it. Otherwise, it's just a constant battle to kind of have that.
Yeah, I like that. And it's really building trust with those others. So knowing that they can kind of stay in their lane, but we also playing together because they may have some angles that we don't have. But yeah, I think it's a give and take, but they need to respect boundaries. I like this question 3. What mistakes have we made in terms of change, right? And what have we learned from, right? Because anytime you try to change anything, it never really goes exactly as you plan. What mistakes have you made and how have you learned from them?
I'll start with that one.
Okay.
I've made the mistake over the years that everyone thinks it's a great idea. You think about automating, it seems, I mean, we're probably all very analytical thinkers based on what we do for a living. So sometimes it seems like that's the natural answer. The data all suggests that this would be the right way to go, and we'll automate and we'll do these things, and not everyone sees it that way. And it's, as everyone said, it's not purely a finance initiative. And when you think of it in that way and you believe that just because the data points that it's a good decision, that everyone will immediately agree with that, that is not the case. And I have definitely made that mistake.
Okay. Anybody else? I think that's a great question. Anybody else want to take that one?
I think just real quick that I think one common mistake is thinking it'll happen quickly, and that it will be complete the first time that you produce any results from it. And, the counter to that is no, it takes a while, and it's an iterative process. So it's sort of a continuous improvement mindset rather than 6 months and I'll have everything under the sun that I ever want.
I think other important is to be sure that we have enough time to mature one tool in order before to move to another one. I mean, sometimes we in the papers or in the roadmap we said, okay, after 1 month of hypercare, you are able to do another analytics or something like that. And sometimes you need more time to mature the information in order to be sure that the data are correct in the beginning. If not, you are more worried, or you are dedicated time to accomplish the roadmap for the go live than have the earlies or the one that are already installed mature enough. So I think that there is a natural progress on mature of the tools before move to the next step.
Okay. Let's see. I think we just got a couple of minutes left here. A specific question for Matt. They're asking what the name of the Excel add-in you use similar to Essbase.
Oh, it's called Vena, V as in Victor, ENA.
Okay. And let's see here. You got another question coming in. How does the ongoing nature of digital transformation impact the roles of CFOs? And like, how is the skill set of CEOs changing as really we got to be more digital?
There's more information, and everybody did expect CFOs to handle everything now, and of course that means we understand the whole business and are able to take the right decisions, or at least advise accordingly. But now there's an expectation that we can do it ourselves as well. It's digitized. We can do this. Fewer people have greater capability to do more within the finance organization, right? Again, I think it goes back to my previous comment that it's not isolated. Finance does not do this on our own. Digitizing is still data. If your customer sends you paper, you got to digitize that and make sure the data in that is accurate and standardized. Doesn't start with you or end with you. Someone else also has to do this. And may I just quickly talk? I just remember something on the shadow finance. I'm often thought that, hey, I will teach my people to go interact with operations and work with them closely. And if operations want to do finance, I'll teach them finance. It helps me a lot. But I just make sure they do it right. Of course, they want to do this so that they can play with the budget, move it from one cost center to another, and be able to use it without coming to finance. But if you teach them right, they won't be writing blank checks, but ensure come to finance to ask if there's money, because the misconception is they think finance only says no. But if we show them what we look at before we say yes or no and why it is, and there's an ongoing conversation throughout at all levels, there's less of a surprise. Often it happens when you are presenting your results for the week or for the month, and every VP has, oh, that's not me, I didn't happen. Well, your entire team is knowing about this and learning and understanding about this and communicating through every level. And you all are continuously being taught finance. So there's less of a reason or ability to say, I don't know what you're talking about, or I didn't know, so.
Hey, I like that. I think it really comes to be like it really is kind of we play a role on a team and we got to know our role and make sure that I mean we kind of are the leaders in terms of integrating things because of the financial lens and needing to see the whole organization. Um, so I think we're about at time. I think I got to pass it back over to Nick.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for such an insightful panel discussion. And I want to thank everyone else for joining us today. This session, along with all of today's content, will be available on demand following the event.